Hey, what's up everyone, I'm Andrew, and a while ago from a local office I picked up two laptops, and the both are out of use, because of some damage and because of age. This is Lenovo E530, and this is Dell Inspiron N4112. The Lenovo is in a pretty bad shape. Some keys on the keyboard are missing, there is a problem with the hinges, the display is broken, and this machine isn't starting. Only the function button is blinking, and that's all. The Dell Inspiron is a little bit better. It's a bit dirty, the hinges are a little bit loosey. I got it without a hard disk and with 4 gigs of RAM only. The Dell is still functional, except the battery, and while testing the temperatures are pretty high, which is very expected considering the age of the laptop. Well, let's start and do something with this Dell laptop. And a few words about this machine. This is a 14-inch Dell Inspiron, released back in 2012. The hardware specs are very average. The CPU is Intel i3 2350M, and the RAM is 4GB in total. Maybe there was more RAM before, but this is what I found. Usually, when some companies discharge some computers, they take out the disks because of the security reasons, and many times they take out some other hardware that is easily removable. And this is the reason why this laptop has high temperatures and the cooling is loud. Fresh air cannot pass through the heatsink and cool down the laptop. The dust and the dirt are sticked to the heatsink and the cooling fan. Also, this is a usual problem with the laptops and a usual thing why the laptops are overheating. Let's clean this machine. And first, I start with cleaning the thermal paste from the CPU. To clean the thermal paste, I will use a spudger stick, brushes, 96% isopropyl alcohol, and cotton buds. Cleaning the CPU or the GPU needs to be careful and without rushing. The both are having small components on the top that may be covered with a thermal paste, like in this case, and the components sometimes are hard to spot. After I clean the thermal paste, I start with cleaning the whole motherboard of dust and dirt. Here again, I use brushes, cotton buds, isopropyl alcohol, and compressed air. Also using isopropyl alcohol, I clean the RAM slots and the other ports. For older hardware like this one, I do always change the BIOS battery as well. The old battery maybe is good, but I don't know how long it will last, and I prefer using a new one. Now I move to clean the rest of the internal components, like the speakers, the RAM, the other parts with USB and other ports, and the cables. I always pay attention to every single detail. First, to clean it and check it, and second, if there is something faulty, I can replace it or do some additional repairs. So basically, this is not a classic restoration. This is some kind of refurbishment as well. The cooling fan is one of the dirtiest parts here. So first, using a dry brush, I remove the major dust, and then, using a 96% isopropyl alcohol, I wash the whole cooling fan. The yellowish sticky dirt that is coming out from the cooling means that this laptop is used in a higher humidity conditions and maybe in a smoking area. The both conditions are not really good for the computers, because in these conditions the computers collect far more dust than usual, and this can affect the hardware as well. So these are two basic things to avoid much as possible if you want something to last longer. The laptop case that has some electronics, like the palm rest with a non-removable trackpad, I clean it using isopropyl alcohol, cotton buds, brushes, compressed air, and soft napkins. To clean the display, together with the whole upper case, I use standard things as before. Just here, I add an anti-static glass cleaner. I made a mixture from isopropyl alcohol and anti-static cleaner, and using brush, I apply this mixture over the display. I have done this because the display and the top part are kind of oily. Also, I repeat this process a couple of times until I got everything perfectly clean as I wanted. I didn't remove the bezel because the bezel was well stick to the case. It's better to leave that way because the factory glue is always better than the replacement one. To clean the keyboard, I start with a vacuum cleaner and compressed air. The both are pretty good at removing the dust that is around and under the keys. Later, I continue with cleaning using brushes, isopropyl alcohol, compressed air, soft napkins, and again vacuum cleaner and compressed air. In many cases, cleaning the laptop keyboard is the most time-consuming part. First, the keyboards are very gentle and sensitive, so working here goes slower. And second, after cooling, this is the dirtiest part of the laptop, so the dirt here is all around and well sticked. Especially it's hard to take out the dirt from under the keys. The other parts like the heatsink, the bottom case, and some other plastics, I wash it using warm water and dish soap. I always prefer washing some of the parts because simply there is nothing wrong to wash some plastics or the heatsink. And second, with washing I can remove all the dust and dirt that is on these parts. And finally, all the parts are clean, and the laptop is ready for assembling. I start by applying the fresh thermal paste over the CPU, a very thin layer with a small drop on the top. The drop is to avoid some air bubbles that can appear while mounting the heatsink. Over the chipset, I used a silicone pad instead of thermal paste as before. So in this case, the silicone pad will be more effective than using a thermal paste. After I finished mounting the heatsink, I took the bottom case and I start with the speakers. I returned both speakers and the cables from the speakers. Now I place the motherboard. So I return the cooling fan. And I return the screws from the motherboard. In the left corner is the power connector, together with a single screw. And to the right side is the Wi-Fi and the board with a USB and other ports. In the bottom left corner, we have the card reader. And here, I will return the 4 GB of RAM, same as before. And here we have the back part of the case, which is right behind the display. Now, I can mount the whole top part, together with the display. The display was a little bit loosey before, because the both screws were a little loosey. Fortunately, there is nothing wrong with the hinges. The both hinges are good. Here, I need to pack all the cables. I mean the cables from the Wi-Fi antennas, the camera, and the cable from the display. And as well, I need to connect all the cables to its place. After I finish connecting all the cables from the top side of the laptop, I put back the palm rest. we have a few more screws and a few more cables to connect. The cables from the power and the other buttons, and the cable from the trackpad. Before I put the keyboard, one more cleaning using compressed air and brushes, and I can place the keyboard. After I place the keyboard, I turn the laptop from the bottom side, and I start with returning the screws from the bottom. Before I close the laptop from the bottom, I have done some basic upgrades. The first upgrade is 240 gigs SSD. The SSD is going to do a great job here. Originally, these laptops are coming with a standard mechanical disk, but this is going to be too slow for today's standards. Also, 240 GB isn't something, but it's going to be good for Windows and basic things. And the last upgrade is, I add another 4 gigs of RAM, so this laptop will have 8 GB in total. 8 GB are very basic as well, and it's going to be good enough for using some basic things. Anyway, this is not some high-performance laptop, and there is no need for something more. And once again, using the soft napkins, I re-clean the whole laptop case. And after making all these changes, this is the final result. Now this laptop is much cleaner than before, and as well is looking better. On this laptop I install a Windows 10 Home because this machine has already connected Windows Home license. The Windows 10 is working pretty well. Unfortunately, the CPU isn't removable. Otherwise, I will upgrade the CPU to Intel i5 or i7 and will have a much better performance. Anyway, even with the Intel i3, this laptop is still good for doing some basic daily tasks, like web browsing, emails, watching movies or videos, listening to music, doing some documents in Word, Excel or PDF, and etc. And yes, we can play some old and low requirements PC games. And this is all about this Dell Inspiron N4112. The Lenovo that I mentioned in this video is going to be in some of the upcoming videos, and we will try to repair it. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope this video will give some ideas and inspiration to restore, repair, upgrade, and back in function some touch or some other stuff. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.